And we're live. So
How's it going, everybody?
we will give it a few minutes to let people roll in. Okay, wait, here we go. So good evening, everyone. We will give it a few minutes while we let people roll in.
Yeah, what Jake just said.
What I just said. So if you didn't know, we're live on both
And YouTube.
and the YouTube. Oh, look at that.
So 2 lives. 2 Facebook lives.
2 lives, 2 people.
2 lives, 2 people, 2 sites.
So give us a hello when you pop up.
Yeah.
Because I can't see who all is live. There's something on here.
Oh, just 2 people live. 2 people watching Facebook. 3 on YouTube. Cool. Woo.
Look at over 5 people.
So, should we get started, or?
We'll give it a minute. We've got more people coming in now.
Okay.
So, how's everyone doing so far this evening? Well, thank you. Okay, so we have people coming in now, watching. If you can't tell,
we're not at the boat.
We're not on the boat.
We're not on Ixion.
We are back at the house here in good old Massachusetts in Cape Cod.
Yeah.
The last few days have been quite the journey.
Yeah. Quite the journey would be putting it nicely.
We're going to give a kind of a broad strokes detail of what's going on. And then, of course, I guess for posterity, you will see in an upcoming episode what exactly happened.
Yeah.
But
we're crossing T's and dotting a lot of I's right now, so we haven't been able to really sift through and put together all that footage.
But to give... We were on our way. We left on Sunday.
Yep, you saw that live stream. Some people have seen that live stream on Facebook. If you're just joining us on YouTube, you will see that live stream
in the
coming episode.
So we left on Sunday. That evening was
idyllic.
Yes, we light winds. We mostly bopped around for the night, but the following day, the winds picked up.
We exited out of Buzzards Bay, and the winds picked up, as Jake was saying, and then they continued to pick up, and the sea state got more tumultuous, and the temperature dropped significantly.
So after some conversations, we decided to stop and anchor for the night.
Yeah.
And while anchoring...
Well, where did we decide to stop and anchor?
Well, we decided to stop and anchor in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
At Point Judith.
Point Judith, Rhode Island.
And while anchoring, we were blown by a roughly 17-knot wind and roughly 3 to 4 knot current, assumingly, and we were blown into the rocks and we ran aground. That is the broad strokes story.
Yeah, we managed to deploy our anchor, so we didn't run completely aground, just enough to get stuck. So yeah, it was kind of an ominous, awful start and sudden
end to our trip.
Yeah, end to our trip.
like I said, we will give once the video comes out. Right now, we are still very much processing and dealing with everything. We were rescued by the Coast Guard.
They were great, by the way.
They were absolutely amazing. Someone down who lived in the area was absolutely amazing. His name was Steve.
Yeah.
Real freaking hero. So right now, yes, we did walk away. We're alive. We're healthy, a little emotionally beaten up, but we are physically 100% fine. But right now, the boat has been hauled out, and it's going through basically the survey process and everything with the insurance company. But that's kind of the broad strokes that happen. Once everything kind of the dust settles, next week we will continue with a normal video, which is us provisioning for the trip. And then the following week, you'll see the video where everything happens. Unfortunately, we were running aground. I didn't grab a camera.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of footage of it. Hayden got a little bit, but we were too busy trying to
not run aground
and do everything that we should be doing.
I mean, in a nutshell, as soon as we saw that we were approaching what I'm going to call the danger zone, we deployed our anchor as quickly as possible. It caught and stopped us. I dropped the dinghy immediately and got that started and tried to tow us out of harm's way. And unfortunately, due to conditions, our 4-horsepower dinghy wasn't able to push us forward. And it was during an exiting tide, so basically as soon as the keel touched bottom, that was basically it.
Yeah, and we'll go into give you more details on step by step what actually happened when that comes out. But we'll also have more kind of definitive information about the damage and what all happened specifically. And well, thank you for watching, Keith.
Yes.
All the way from across the pond. But once that episode comes out in 2 weeks, we will give you the 100% story. It will mostly be us retelling it due to the fact that we don't have any footage. I know we're bad filmmakers. Sorry, guys. My life and not getting hypothermia was more important.
Yeah, by the time we made it to shore, I was soaking wet and chilled to the bone. Like I said, I was in the dinghy trying to tow, and you can only imagine how wet that entire process was.
What was that Coast Guard guy's name?
I really don't remember.
I don't either. There was one guy who...
I can barely remember my own name at the time.
There was one guy, though. I wish I knew what his name was. He was a freaking hero.
Petty officer or something.
He helped me get up the stairs and back to the house up to check me out. He was he was amazing. So first things first, I want to give a huge shout out to the United States Coast Guard here in New England.
Yes.
They stayed with us the entire time. It was a little bit of a rocky situation, no pun intended. And so they couldn't necessarily come to the boat due to the rocks and the potential danger to their own boat and themselves. But they stayed with us the entire time until everything was sorted out and dealt with. So I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to them. So
they really did an amazing job. At one point, Hayden didn't know how to start the dinghy, and once we had to evacuate Ixion in 2 groups because
the dinghy was small.
The seas were a little rough, etc. But once we beached the dinghy, we were faced with like knee-deep seaweed right at the coast, and basically like I was pre-hypothermic. Like I said, I was completely soaked to the bone. Didn't even have a chance to don, good foul weather gear. But So we couldn't relaunch, but the Coast Guard helped Hayden get the motor running, get the boat off the shore, and get Jake off the boat as well.
Yes, they were freaking heroes. So like I want to shout out, thank you to them. I want to say thank you to Cito, who was actually really helpful, and Steve, who owned the house in Point Judith, who let us come inside and get warmed up and drink some water. Hopefully your boat is recoverable and you can go on. A sailor who hasn't gone aground hasn't really ever sailed. We've had more frustrating stories over the years than I can count. You know, Toby, this is 2 boats in 2 weeks. Or
Well,
Hayden's boat first ran aground on Christmas, and now ours.
yeah.
So we're having the year for boats.
In an upcoming video, we are convinced that Hayden's boat's name is cursed. If you don't remember, the name of his boat is Swan Song, and who would name a boat Swan Song? Like, that's just beyond me. I think it's kind of crazy. I mean, talk about a harbinger of doom. Anyways, considering everything that's happened, we're gonna have a moment of striking that name and sending it to Davy Jones' locker, because
it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible. Like, let's just rip the whole transom off of the road in the water, because no
Thank you,
boat
Jesse.
should ever be named Swan Song. I know that,
but anyways,
so it's been a fun few weeks for the 3 of us between all of our boats. But we are live, warm theoretically. I feel like I've been freezing for 3 days. I'm not hypothermic. I'm just I hate the cold, and now I just feel like I'm always cold.
Ever since that day, I've been wearing like 4 layers of everything. I never want to be that cold again. And I gotta say, for everybody watching and anyone who's ever thinking about going offshore, not even offshore, but like sailing in New England in winter, don't do it unless you are properly geared up, because I'm telling you that the cold on land is nothing compared to the cold at sea. It's a new level of bone chilling. It really is.
The biggest thing that we learned here is we thought we were prepared, and maybe to a certain degree we were, but obviously we weren't. Our own impatience and our want to get this adventure started caused us to inadvertently skip things on the list, like buying more clothes.
I mean, then that was all contributory to our comfort as a whole. But in terms of in terms of anchoring, that was absolutely an accident that really, like,
yes, what happened running aground was just a freak of nature accident that we did everything in our power to stop, and we were unable to do so. It just, nature got in the way. I'm saying
the ocean's awesome, but it can be a bitch.
The preparation, we definitely skipped some steps.
Yeah,
in doing so,
like we really should have had proper, like, Sub-Zero. I can't even remember what they're called.
I don't know. They call them like Gumby suits or something like
yeah,
that. I don't know. One of you more
one of you more
experienced sailors, if want to chime in what those suits are called, that like when you're in the water, it's those like Sub-Zero like cold water suits that you put on. The Coast Guard guy said it.
Yeah,
and I can't for the life of me remember what they're called, but that's our biggest mistake, and where we truly messed up the most was that we neglected some of the things on our list. And that's
like a good marine heater would have been nice too. But I will say that Ixion did get some damage, but it got some damage. But you know what? It's fixable. We've done enough fiberglass work at this point, enough fairing work at this point, that I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty to get it fixed. So, you know, all in all, it really could have been worse. We were just told a story by the surveyor that, just last week, a some person's CNC 38 or 40, don't remember the exact model number, ran aground in Woods Hole, and ultimately was totaled because the keel actually got pushed up into the hull, like completely crushed. He said that the boat was worth 15,000, and the repair was like 35 or 40. So well, we lost Facebook temporarily.
So well,
don't know why.
Not sure if you all can still hear, but the feed is going. But YouTube is still going.
Yes. So we'll keep talking to you guys on YouTube. So like we were saying, it could have been so much worse. The first impressions, there's no crazing, there's no cracking on the keel stub. There's no visible signs of hull deformation or distress inside the boat. Largely, it seems that the fin keel got the brunt of the beating. And thank you, Steve. They're just like low temp survival suits.
Yeah, I don't know. The feed is. I don't know what's wrong with the video.
I don't know either.
Let me see. What did he say? Did he say the feed? No, check it. It might be about the feed going down. Oh, if anyone's on Facebook, can you comment and let us know if the video is still there?
Yeah, they're telling us we're having trouble.
Because it says that we can't see it. Okay, so the live stream is still there.
Cool.
On our end, it says that the video is not playing, so my apologies for the temporary issue. So, and like I said, we're still waiting on, the survey was done actually today. So we're waiting to hear back from the appraiser and everybody from the insurance company to find out what the full extent of the damage looks like, the cost, and et cetera, et cetera.
But it doesn't look like it's going to be a total loss. And that's the important thing to take away from this, is that we ran aground. We were really, really lucky. We got off the boat with our lives. Cold, really cold, but we got off the boat with our lives without really major issue. And I think that that we made the right choice to seek refuge to begin with.
I've also driven back and forth to Rhode Island more times than I would ever like to do in one stint. I think just in the last 3 days, we've driven back and forth to Rhode Island like 6 times, back and forth to get hauled out, everything. So that's where we're at now. What is coming next is kind of the big question. Something that we still are.
What comes next?
Also still working on. First things first, we still are going to put out the next 2 videos.
Yes.
The video detailing what happened during this debacle will be our basically season finale. Following that, we will take a temporary hiatus before we begin making more videos.
Yeah. As you guys probably know, we've been refitting for, it feels like forever.
It's been about a year.
Yeah.
No, actually.
A year of consistent refitting. And honestly, we just need a break. I don't know what it's going to look like, our break per se, but we definitely just need to take a pause and reassess, just for a few weeks, month at the most, and then we'll be back in full force. Part of, I think, what we're going to start doing next is, we really learned what the limitations of Ixion and the Catalina 30 is. And so we're going to fix Ixion, and that is going to become our local fun project boat to really experiment and see what we can do with a boat that size.
Predominantly,
because I've learned that I really like to do these boat projects. I love kind of coming up with these new crazy, well, maybe it's crazy to us, crazy improvements or design changes that most people may not do. So it's kind of our test boat for now, and the boat that I guess will continue to explore New England once he's ready to get back in the water.
But there is going to be no rush on these projects. We are going to just take our time and have fun with the projects and see what kind of design things we can come up with and how far we can go with these updates, aesthetic as well as functional.
And then so we've got our project videos that we're going to work on, but then we also want to start really reaching out to different members of the boating community at large. We've been really lucky and we've met a lot of cool people, and honestly, I really want to share some of their stories. Dave at Mattapoisa Boatyard's been one champion of ours. He's helped us so much down the road that we really want to pay it forward with all the people that have helped us, and we just want to connect with people even more. So we're going to start producing some videos for people doing community outreach and really trying to get a sense of what the boating community entails as a whole, the type of people you get to meet, and the really cool things that even the LGBTQ plus community are doing within sailing as the sport.
I'm looking to you, Charles.
Yeah, looking at you, Charles, with Rainbow Races. What Charles is organizing over in Chicago is amazing, and so we want to feature that kind of work.
So what we want to do is we are planning a few different things, and we're going to be cheeky about how we kind of name all of them. So they're all going to be kind of under the Ixion umbrella, but we want to do, like he was saying, a kind of a docu-series, so little mini documentaries about businesses centered around sailing, as well as organization and people. Showcase the people that you don't always see and hear about, like Rainbow Races down in Chicago, which is a organization run by Charles, who is trying to help foster inclusivity within the LGBTQ plus community and bring them
the sailing community
to bring them into the sailing community and to give them a safe, inclusive place to race and sail and enjoy the sport, cruising. And so we want to showcase people like Charles and Rainbow Races and really help tell their story, as well as some other companies that are maybe local and don't get the attention they need because they're not Towboat or Beneteau or some large kind of international company.
And then we also want to start really looking at different boat building techniques, yacht design as a whole, and I, for one, I'd love to get to interview some people at Sparkman and Stevens, because they've got a history of yacht design that I think is so cool, and it would be nice to put to bed some of those age-old questions about, what keel type is best, why things are designed the way they're designed, and
help them explain that design book that I feel like is so dry, make it more interesting.
Well, and just really diving into understanding what makes a good cruising boat, a good blue water boat, versus something that you hop around in the afternoon. I mean, we all have our assumptions, but it would be nice to sit down with actual designers and look at the history of yacht design and where it's kind of going in the future.
And actually, Joe, Ixion is in Rhode Island at a shipyard, awaiting instructions from
Yeah.
insurance companies and travel people to figure out what's happening next. So we're just
Mhm.
waiting to hear from the insurance company to find out what we're doing next.
Side note, I want to do a video about Newport, Rhode Island as a whole. I think it is one of the coolest places in New England.
It's also one of the biggest sailing hubs
It
in New
is.
England.
In the U.S., really. It's Annapolis and Newport, really.
If you come to New England, specifically like Massachusetts, Cape Cod, basically everyone's hauled out. All the marinas are empty except for some few small liveaboards and the small handful of people that actually store their boats in the water during the winter. Go down to Newport, not even the case. All the pleasure crafts are pulled out, but it's still such a thriving port. There's still so many kind of commercial boats and everything coming in and out of there, even some pleasure boats actually. But we also, another thing we're going to be doing,